This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
Thank you so much for tuning into the show, because I've got a killer chat featuring two members of a band from out west titled Kimura. You're going to hear from vocalist Josh Kelly and a fella who plays a mean guitar, Ian McAllister. Now, the catalyst for the chat is due to the launch of the lads' new album for 2021. It'll see light of day October 21st. It is titled Circled the Prey. Something else about this chat, it was plagued by internet connectivity issues. The fucking thing just would not kick into gear when we needed it most, but it doesn't detract from what is ultimately a high-quality conversation with two fellas who know what they're doing when it comes to heavy and extreme metal. The internet connectivity issues were so bad that night I actually forgot to record the first minute or thereabouts on Zoom, but I do recall my opening question, which is about the band's, a statement within the band's presser, which is as follows. What did the band think about this statement? That the group's new album is a chaotic balance between harmony and dissonance, melody and aggression, and is the most ferocious and infectious release they have ever made. So here they are. Josh is the fella that you'll hear first up, but then throughout the chat, you're also going to hear from Ian McAllister. Let's go.
We didn't actually write that. So when Dicey actually did up that first presser and sent it through, and I read it, and I went, "Holy shit, that's awesome! Thanks very much." So we didn't write that, and here we are looking at what he said about it and what other people said about it, going, "Wow, like we knew this was cool and we were onto something really good, but." Some of the really nice things people have said about it, we're kind of thinking to ourselves like, holy shit, maybe we need to just write like this more often.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it? But did you find that it took you, I haven't heard your other stuff, to be honest. So did it take you the 3 albums to get to the point where, because it is a very mature and accomplished sound that you've got, did it take those 3 albums? Was it that the process to get to where you are now, do you think?
Probably Ian's better to answer this one, because he's sort of been in the band a lot longer than what I have.
Yeah, it was different writing this time around. Previous releases, the early releases, a lot of it was written by the other guitarist. Then the last release, a lot of that was songs I'd written on my own. I just had a bunch of stuff, so we put that together. Then this time around, it was pretty much everyone was in on writing.
Was that a difficult process for you, though, if everybody was sort of contributing when you're used to sort of having control over what goes on?
No, because it was the last guitarist. He was the one that always had the control. And, this time around, it was, just everyone. So this time around, I was just writing riffs, bringing them in. Then everyone would be like, yep, I can do this with it. I can do that with it. And then,
We helps when you're on the same page. Sorry, you go, mate. You're right.
We sort of formalized not in an uncomfortable way, but formalized the writing process in that being able to incorporate everybody in the mix. So we made sure it was really a natural progression. So Ian would come to the table, to the jam room, with a heap of ideas, a heap of riffs, a heap of things going on. And we'd all sit here and we'd listen and we go, that's great, or let's work on that right now. And then some of the stuff that we found and that we kept, we all kind of wrote it together. So it was a really natural, wholesome process as a band. And I think that that's where we've kind of cemented ourselves in who we are with our sound, being more of a collective as opposed to a singular person in the band, sort of having that directive.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But did it take a while? It sounds like as though you've had lineup shifts and changes. So yes. Did it take a while to find the people on a personal basis? Do you understand what I'm saying? So musically, people might have the chops, but to be honest, they might have been fuckwits. I'm not saying they were, because I don't know them from a bar of soap, but but you know what I'm saying, don't you? It's you got to be on the same page, literally, in order to produce a cohesive unit like what you've done here. So it obviously took a while to get to where you are in that respect as well.
Yeah, absolutely, it did. It's funny that you mentioned the word fuckwits. I'm not going to repeat that, but look, I haven't been in the band as long as what Ian has. It was originally founded by Gordo, our drummer, sort of near on a decade ago. And there's been various lineup changes in due course. With myself, there's only been the one lineup change since I've been in the band, and that was our previous bass player. But yeah, obviously prior to that, there were a few different lineup changes. And I think from what I can hear with the guys' playing ability, as well as my own development, everybody's kind of done their time, mine with other bands, other writing processes, and the guys within this band and their own, musical creativity. Kimura was always kind of finding its feet, I think, with its first sort of 2 to 3 releases. And the third one that we did, Euthanize, Sterilize, was kind of a bit of an affirmation of the direction that we wanted to go in, especially with what Ian was writing, the way Gordo was stepping out of his shell as a bass player, and how I was writing as a vocalist. We sort of threw everything out the window and just went, fuck, let's just do what we think sounds fucking cool. If nobody else likes it, who cares?
Yeah, it's such a great way to be thinking, actually, especially with extreme and heavy metal. I mean, for God's sakes, the marketing strategy effectively is just to produce the music that you want to listen to yourselves. That's it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's no scale you're really working within. There's a limited audience to begin with because it's never going to be mainstream. So on that front, have you? I've asked. I went through a phase where I was asking this quite a bit, and then I stopped asking it. But I'm going to start asking it again because it can determine. I'll ask my question first, which is the social media side of things. It can determine how successful you are from respect to the audience that you reach online. And you've got a captive audience these days, particularly in Australia with the lockdowns that are going on. So with regards to album promotion, obviously you're linking in with Dicey and with Miller, and that's working really well for you guys, clearly, with the Cult Etiquette PR thing. But you have to spend your own money on Instagram and Facebook, or are you?
With Facebook and Instagram, in terms of, post boosts and sponsoring ads and all that kind of thing, no, we haven't done any of that with our stuff that we've done from our page, from our social medias. I guess we've always sort of been on the mindset that everybody knows that the algorithms with social media are incredibly confusing at times. When to post something, should you boost it, all the other things in between. So we've just kind of let it go organically. And this is why we've reached out to the likes of Dicey and gone, hey, look, you've got the industry experience, you've got a lot of contacts. Your advice as well as direction with all of this is going to be hugely appreciated, because we don't really want to go too much down that path. We want as much exposure as we can get, but we also want it to grow organically. And I guess that's a really tough thing with social media, because you never know whether it's genuine or not.
Yes. Yeah. You can literally buy, is it Fanatics? Is that what the site's called, where you can buy 10,000 YouTube views for $150 or what have you? You can bullshit the system. Like the algorithm, you can actually buy comments these days, because they try to make the algorithm work about not just it's penetration of engagement. God, it sounds sick, doesn't it? Penetration of engagement. which means movie. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the amount of people comment are more important than the amount of people that like. Okay. Yeah, and then the algorithm goes even deeper and looks for tone within the language that people are commenting with, they're using.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess for us, we kind of feel like if we went down that whole go buy some likes kind of thing, I feel like we'd be doing an injustice to the effort that we've put in an album that was real for us. Mm. And if we turned around and said, hey, I'm going to pay you to look at my band, I just feel like that a thing to do by us.
Yep.
That's me personally, though. And I find that the rest of the guys, and it's always been something in the back of our minds. And we've raised the question, do we want to sponsor this? Do we want to boost it? Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it works in some situations. There's bands that I've come across because they've had a sponsored post that I've gone, holy shit, which I probably would never have seen. But the other 20, 30, 40,000 that view it, like it, and comment on it, are they real? Are they really going to follow that band?
No, I'm with you. Yeah, it's a dark art, and it requires an alchemist in order to figure it out and help you be successful. Truly at this bloody point, you got to be wearing a magician's cap to in order. It's can use whatever superlatives that I can reach for in this instance, but you can spend tens of thousands of dollars, and unless you've got a targeted strategy and you're getting advice from somebody who knows how to reach the audience that you intend to reach and will respond and interface with what you guys have got. And again, playing extreme metal, what I've done a little bit of it myself, and with the books that I'm writing, I'm intend on targeting, for example, I've done 600 of these interviews. I interviewed Dino from Fear Factory, so I'm going to spend $50 targeting toward Fear Factory fans. You can do that these days. On the Fear Factory page. So when people go to the Fear Factory page, they will see, somewhere else afterwards, they'll see an ad for my book that says, hey, I've got an entry in here about Dino. That sort of thing. Like you can go, but I didn't know that until I spoke to somebody who understood that shit. Like basically it's only because I'm still with the university cohort and I get access to people who generally charge people thousands of dollars for this information. And I can just have chats with them occasionally just to check in. And so extreme metal bands, I mean, how much have you got in consulting fees? How much have you got in the kitty for that sort of stuff? Probably nothing, to be honest with you. So how do you get that information? Yeah,
that's exactly right. You've got to pay for it if you want to go down that road. And unfortunately, with the music industry at the moment, with the pandemic, let alone being metal, metal's always been, as everybody knows, a real tough one compared to a lot of the other genres in terms of making a stable income, especially in today's day and age, with how you even get out there doing it, let alone not being able to tour and play shows sometimes.
Yep, exactly, and that's the big issue these days. But you guys have been able to play some shows. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, we have been. We've been really lucky over here. Yeah.
So you've obviously been able to test out a lot of the new material. And not just test, launch it, no doubt. Because is the album out yet, or is it due to be released?
No. So the album's out on the 21st of October.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha. So are you playing all of the cuts from the album, or just select cuts, and then you're taking the bangers from the other three albums?
No, it's the launch show on the 23rd of October is all stuff off the new album.
Congratulations. So well done. Yeah. Back yourselves. Yeah.
We're really excited, but we're also a little terrified because of the challenge we've set ourselves, because we've listened to it back and we've gone, oh, fuck, that's actually not that easy to play, is it?
Well, as a musician myself, the only advice I've got for you is drink afterwards. Don't think that the drinks are going to calm your nerves, because they're going to make you make more mistakes on stage. That's the thing about drinking before a gig. Like, you feel better, there's no doubt, but when you listen back to it afterwards, you go, oh, shit. Yeah.
Yep.
You find that?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first joined a band years ago, actually when I was living in Brisbane, one of the first bands I was ever in, I used to get hammered before a show. I used to think, this is sick, this is awesome, sounded cool, like, moving a lot on stage. And then I remember I saw some video footage and listened to it back and saw it, and I went, oh, God. Yeah, you fucking suck. So
it's all part of the journey.
Every show that I've ever done with Kimura, actually, I've been completely clean and saved the drinking for afterwards.
Yeah. I play covers, so it's a bit different for me. You sort of need to drink just to get through the night some nights. You're playing Brown Eyed Girl and Smells Like Teen Spirit. You do that enough, believe me, you're doing it in your sleep. You know what I mean? You're almost doing it without touching the guitar or the bass. You know what I mean? It's just you're literally on autopilot, especially with stuff like Smells Like Teen Spirit. There's 4 bloody notes in the song and just a few different rhythmic changes, But people want to hear that shit, so you got to give it to them. But when you guys were recording the album, so you're all based in Perth or Western Australia in general, are you? So you were able to do that in a room together, or did you guys still do that remotely on your own consoles and then send it into somebody who was going to sort of put it all together, so to speak, with Pro Tools?
No, so we did all the pre-production in my studio where we're sitting now. So we've got a sort of a decent setup that I've kind of built up over the last few years. And so we did a lot of the writing and the pre-production here. And then when we actually went into the studio, we were all in a position where we could all go in there mostly together and get through the whole process together without having to do the, like sending stuff off individually. So I think that's where that whole human interaction in terms of creativity, especially with music, I think really benefited us, because, and that's kind of why this album is really close to us and very personal because we really did put a lot into it together.
Are you a tradie, are you?
Me, I am.
Yeah, yourself.
No, I work in the mines.
I was going to say, because everything behind you looks too neat for a musician. That's what it looks like. A tradie's done it, or someone who's good with stuff, with their hands and stuff. Most muso pads look like a bloody bomb. It's just spaghetti,
I'm OCD clean. I'm a bit OCD chippy by trade, but I am a little bit OCD.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, there you go. You both are. There you go. Yeah. It's amazing the amount of metal musicians that are tradies, actually. There seems to be an interface between working with your hands and playing extreme metal. Yeah, something that sort of goes well together, isn't it? Tools during the day, guitar at night, or drums or whatever it might be. Similar sort of precision involved.
We won't give Gordo the kudos of being a tradie because he ain't a tradie. Well, actually, no, he technically is a fucking tradie. Shit, he's a tradie too. Gordo's a sparky. It's just Kyle that's not a tradie. But he could certainly probably throw you across a room with some of his martial arts skills.
Yeah, cool. So talented band. There you go. And like with the lyrical themes, was there anything that you were keen to address on the album this time around?
There was a few things that I wanted to address that had been bothering myself, and it's not the main feel or concept through the whole album. Every single song is a story. It's all very real, very true. It's all very personal. Some of the songs we actually wrote together. There's a song on the album called Vultures, and it's lyrically I wrote the song and the melody for it about 15 years ago, and I gave it to Ian and Gordo, and they actually just turned it into something really cool musically. And because of that, and because of the feel that it had, I wanted them to. I explained to them the theme of the song, and I said, "Hey guys, if you could say anything about this particular situation or environment, what would you say?" And so they told me, and now that's part of the lyrics. So it was actually a really cool process. But yeah, there were some things that I wanted to say throughout the album lyrically, and it's also on behalf of the band, especially against the ego elitist people that think they're above everybody on the scene. There's quite a few of them everywhere. Everybody knows it. And pretty much this was our way of going, look, you do you, we'll do us. Don't get in our way. And get fucked, more or less.
Yeah. It gets it. Look, I'm 43, so I'm not saying I'm too old and I'm too jaded or whatever to notice it, but yeah, I just get to a point now where the whole pantomime of that elitism within the scene is just so fucking stupid that it's. I've got to be honest. I think I've tuned out and I just don't notice it, but it must still be there. And to your point, it obviously does. But it's crazy. I remember as a young muso coming through the scene, and there was always that you're playing this or that band, or if you're associated with them. I've got to say, it happens at the covers scene. It's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
It's like
really?
there's an elitism within the cover scene. Yeah, big time. Because it's actually more competitive. Fuck. Well, I'll tell you why it's more competitive there, because you get access to the venues that pay more. And the bands that play there regularly are looked at as in the top of the food chain because they're not disappointing the venue, and people are still getting pissed and taking their ecstasy tablets and whatever the hell else they do that contributes toward the bar having a bumper night. You know what I mean? So right. Yeah, it's very weird, and it's you talk to some of these guys who have an ego about things, and my point that I was trying to make earlier but not well was I just can't talk to them anymore. It's just too hard to even entertain having a conversation with some of these guys. And you just think, what are you fucking doing? We're all musos. We're all supposed to be in this together to an extent.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And completely agree and understand where you're coming from. And I guess Kimura's had some challenges as a band over the years with that type of crowd that are around. And don't get me wrong, it's very, very, it's a minority. It's the majority. Sure. It's a small amount. But it's just, I find it fascinating because I just think at the end of the day, we're all musicians in one of the most remote cities on the planet. And in 20 years' time, somebody might remember some of the music we made, but the earth's going to keep fucking turning. Doesn't matter how many fucking friends you think you've got on social media or how much better you think you are than everybody else. And I guess for us, we kind of got tired of just ignoring it and, playing this so-called game that you're expected to play with the cool kids in town. And so this album's very reflective of, well, you can all go fuck yourselves.
Good on you. Yeah, good on you. No, that's a good way to do it. Stand on your own 2 feet, and if people don't like it, well, then that's their bloody problem. So, I quite like the album artwork too. It's abstract, but at the same time quite vicious. So, who did that?
So there's a guy named Rob Stanley. His artwork is the Black Abyss, the art of Rob Stanley. He's a Queenslander. A friend of mine put me onto him years ago, and he told me that like a long time ago, he said, you got to check this art that this guy does out. Like, just, it's incredible. And that artwork that's on our album cover is called Black Dog by Rob Stanley. And I saw it about 4 years ago, I reckon it'd be now. And I saw it and I went, I need to do something with that one day. And then we had this album going, and I showed the guys the artwork and I said, what do you reckon? And they all went, holy fuck, this is unreal. So that's what we ran with. All of his artwork's incredible. He does amazing stuff. Creepy, some of it, but incredible.
I know. I'm just looking at it now on Facebook. It is pretty seriously evil shit.
Yeah.
It's out there. I haven't seen anything as serious. I love scary stuff. It doesn't bug me. I walk in the bush at night by myself looking for Yetis and shit. It doesn't really, I'm not trying to run away from this weird stuff. I'm trying to find it because I'm genuinely intrigued by it. I used to work away from home, and to go to sleep, I put on Paranormal Activity and all of this sort of stuff, and I'd fall asleep in the middle of it, because you start to work out it's an algorithm within those films. It's like they have a jump scare every 16 minutes or something. So you can sort of time when it's coming up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it is. Seriously, there's a formula, not an algorithm, sorry. It's a formula that they work to. But, his artwork, it's I love it when a band takes the time to consider the artwork, obtaining artwork that matches the sound. And I think you guys have done a great job on that front.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're really proud of it, and we're really grateful that Rob was happy for us to obviously use his artwork and tick all the boxes to be able to implement it with our sound, because we completely agree. It matches the sound. Mm-hmm. It's got that raw sort of venomous, sort of darkness, aggression to it, and that's what we feel that the album sort of reflects.
Yeah, I remember Ice-T saying in a Rolling Stone interview, like I'm talking 30 years ago or something like that, he couldn't understand why he was getting protests. And I agree with him. He says, listen, guys, my album has bullet holes on the front with blood coming out of it. You know what you're getting when you buy Ice-T shit. It shouldn't be a surprise. If Aunt Ethel or Elaine buys Little Johnny, an Ice-T album, don't be surprised when it's sex, drugs and violence on it. It has an audience. He's just an entertainer, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
What about in terms of the recording and I made this point a couple of times, but it does sound well put together and cohesive as an album. Like, I'm talking about the way you put the songs together and the order of the songs. So both fronts, which I think is really important in this day and age of Spotify, when people just aren't listening to albums. I think you've got to have that shit really sorted to keep people's attention. So did you have any serious challenges you had to overcome through the recording?
Well, we did a lot of pre-production here at Joshua's. So, and then we, Josh, you pretty much organised the song list.
Yeah, I threw out a couple of ideas for the song list, and then just to sort of get that conversation going, get the ball going for the track order. And then it was just a matter of us putting it in a playlist and listening to it consecutively and going, does it flow? Does it fit? Because we also had to take into account that, we got 3 tracks on the album that have got guest appearances from other artists. So we sort of wanted to make sure that they sit and flow in the mix really well with everything else as well, so that it's also very cohesive. So we just bounced the ideas off one another. And we went, as Ian sort of mentioned just then, like we really, we went about it a lot better than what I've ever done with bands. And I think probably with what Kimura's done previously in terms of the pre-production, we found that was really key to get decent mixes and decent recordings of all the songs, have them all there and ready to go, so that we could listen to them from a structure perspective as well as a consecutive order. So we were really lucky that we could actually capture all that in the studio at here, and I could mix it and sort of do a quick master, and we could actually listen to, hey, this is the fucking album. What are we going to do with it?
Yeah, okay. So you were able to get to the masters before sending them off and listening to the way people listen to them on Spotify or Apple Music from the sounds of things. And that's a step that I think is almost essential. if you don't get to approve what the finished product is going to sound like prior to send it off to somebody who's going to do their own thing with it, as the creators, you almost don't have complete control.
That's exactly right, and that's something that we were pretty strict on. That we're all for outside opinion, directive, and advice. Always are. We're always happy to hear what someone else thinks, but at the same time too, we didn't want anybody to be able to go, instead of playing that this way, why don't you play it this way, kind of thing, and changing the structure of a song or changing a chord progression or changing a melody, because it kind of defeats your own creativity. So doing the pre-production and having the album to listen to before we actually went into the studio to record and have it mixed and mastered was really good for the producer, which was Jay at Oracle Studios, because he actually got to hear the whole album, drums, bass, guitars, vocals, everything before he even recorded us. So he had a really good head start as to what direction we were going in and what was coming.
Is Jay a metal guy?
He most is 100%. He is most certainly a metal guy.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Yeah, occasionally you find bands, extreme bands, that try to. It worked for Cradle of Filth with Kit Woolden, but then he had a foot. He did all of the Thin Lizzy stuff and Phil Lynott stuff, so it's kind of in the same quadrant on the compass, so to speak. But I noticed there's this
Oh, sorry, it's just dropped out again there, mate. Just the audio. Can see you, just can't hear you. No. No. Only visual. Oh, hang on.
You're back.
Yeah.
There we go. I was just saying I'll keep talking and hopefully it'll cut back in. Yeah, it's being a shit tonight. Yep. I had a conversation with the guys in Nesha who were also with Dicey tonight. Tonight I make Dicey's night, Dicey and Miller's night. I have the conversations on Monday nights with all of those bands. You guys, it was fine then, but tonight, right now, the internet's just garbage. But
it's gone.
It's gone. Go on again. Motherfucker.
Hear me now?
It's sort of, got you. Yeah, you're back.
Oh, it's a shit of a thing, isn't it? Yeah. I was just saying about Jay. I'll edit that bit out anyway and I'll put this in. So you told me that Jay is a metal guy, but I notice there's a tendency for indie metal bands to get a producer who doesn't understand metal to produce the stuff, and that's crazy to me. Because the dynamics are at play. You can't achieve the full richness. Like Dan Swano, and I spoke to Pete Tagdren the other night, because Hypocrisy have a new album out, but I just wanted to talk about all the production stuff that he'd done. Was it a case that you were always going to go to Jay to get the production sorted, or were you looking at a few people?
It was always going to be Jay for this one, because we met him. We played a show at a place not far from just outside of the city at Inglewood, and he was actually the live sound guy. He was the sound guy for the night, and he mixed us. And he actually hit us up, and he just said, "Oh, you guys recording anytime soon? Like, what are you doing?" And this was a couple of years ago, and we weren't quite there yet. But he stayed in touch. I sort of kept up to date with a lot of the stuff that he was recording and that he was doing. And when we were ready, we went and saw him in his new studio that he built and had a chat with him, and we went, "Yep, let's pull the trigger. Let's do it."
Easy. Yeah, it's nice when things come together that way, isn't it? You don't have to work that and you guys obviously probably took care of a lot of the engineering side of things too, given you're no doubt very qualified on the pre-production side of things.
Yeah, we definitely, like all of us, like especially with Ian's guitars, we went and because we used the Kemper to do the pre-production. So we went to the rehearsal studios and we profiled his Mesa cabs and had them all ready to go so that we could get as closer sound as we could with the pre-production, but also getting Ian and Gordo and myself involved in the mixes too. So I'd, do a mix and then I'd bounce a quick master and send it through and go, "What do you guys reckon? Like, what do we want to change?" So we really pulled apart the songs before we hit the studio for the full-blown recording. So we were very prepared.
Is there anything else that you'd like to put out there about the album and about what you guys are trying to achieve by being musicians, that sort of thing?
Ian?
Oh, we're just doing what we're doing. We enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Ian, with you, actually, there was a question that I was midway through asking before the internet issues kicked in, but no doubt you've got a killer live guitar tone. Was it very difficult for you to capture that on the album?
I've got two heads that I use when I've got a Mesa Mark V. I was planning on using that in the studio, and then when we had it connected up, it just sounded flat. I don't know why. It wasn't doing it. So I went with the Mark III, much older head, vintage head, and it sounded great. We ended up using both, blended both, but it wasn't. Yeah, once we dialed it in, it wasn't that bad at all.
Oh, he's frozen. Oh no, you're back.
Back, yeah. I think it's just going to be one of those nights. I think with it all, yeah. Just with how shit the internet is. Robot. Have I turned into a robot?
No, you're good. I was just checking. Oh, yeah, your bars are red. Now they're yellow.
Oh, my God. This sucks, yeah.
Now they're white now. It's good.
I'll wrap things up. Not that I don't have more questions to ask you, but I think we're just going to face this issue. It's usually Skype that fucks up, not Zoom. So there you go. But yeah, look, as I said to you guys up top, I'm enjoying the album. I think you face the same challenge that we all do these days, which is cutting through the bullshit on social media and being heard. The quality's there. You can't do any more than what you guys have done here with this release. You know, if you were North American, you'd have 70,000 native Facebook followers. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's always going to be that issue with being an Australian extreme metal band. Basically, any extreme metal band outside of North America and Europe faces the same challenges. I've spoken to heaps of people about this from overseas too. But I just want to say congratulations on crafting killer heavy metal. It is important, you know. There's a shadow pandemic going on at the moment in Victoria and New South Wales with people suffering mental health issues and the like, and a lot of those people are metal fans, and you're giving them something. I'm not saying it puts money in their bank or anything like that, but it just makes things a little bit easier, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And hopefully we can make it up to them all in person and get over there and play for them one day.
Yeah, well, I mean, your connection with Dicey and stuff, I mean, I'd love to see you guys live. So hopefully that happens. You're playing at Mansfield Tavern or Moe's Clubhouse or something like that over here. On one of those 5 or 6 band bills that he puts on at the moment, because, yeah, you got a killer live sound. Are you going to – actually, that's a question for you. Are you going to record the full album when you're playing it at your album launch? You know, the full show, sorry, I meant to say.
We're probably going to. Yeah, we're probably going to do something along those lines. It's just a matter of working. I've still got to have a chat to the, obviously the sound engineer at the venue and sort of say, look, you know, do you mind if I either plug into your front of house, or I've got a couple of portable, pretty high-end recorders that I can either just do that, use that instead and just do a stereo recording of the show. But it'd be nice to get sort of a bit more of a DI recording, because then I could take the mixes back and sort of, you know, balance them out and put them up and go, hey, this is our new stuff live. It'd be good for us to have a look at too, to see how much we're dying while we're trying to play these stupid hard songs for us that we wrote.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah, if you could do video too, I think that'd help. You know, video is king these days. I'd love to see. It's for purely selfish reasons to say that. I'd love to see it just afterwards. Put it up on YouTube, and when after the kids are in bed and all the rest of it, that's about the only time I get to sort of relax and actually look at things I like looking at. Checking you guys out, doing what you do live, that'd be nice to see that.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're definitely gonna do something along those lines. I've still got more toys I need to add to the studio and live scenario. So even though I'm running out of room in here, but
maybe we should do it, Joe, for doing a live show.
Yeah, we could do. Yeah, the guy that did our video clips, he's also doing our photography on the night. So
okay,
that's not a bad idea. Maybe we should talk to him about something live video wise.
Yeah, because I mean, if you get a desk recording, and then you don't even need to worry about the sound on the video. You can just sync it up afterwards. I mean, I know it's a bitch to do, but yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, I'll just sit here and pull my hair out in front of the computer and fucking line it up.
Is it the compression ratios are the same? Because then you get sped up visuals compared to the music, or the other way around. I don't know what it is. It's happened to me a couple of times when that's happened, and I'm like, what the hell's that doing? That shouldn't be doing that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but thanks, lads. Thanks for the conversation. I'm sorry about these bloody internet connectivity issues. But it's a killer album. You clearly got a good sound going on that's all of your own. So just would look forward to seeing you guys play live over here, unless I get over there, which isn't likely with the lockdown. So with good old Mark McGowan locking everybody down over there. So we're out, I should say, over there. But yeah, no, well done. Awesome work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, internet connectivity issues be damned. That was a killer chat with two fellas from Western Australia, two members of a group called Kimura. You heard from Josh Kelly, the vocalist, and Ian McAllister, who plays the guitar. The group's new album in market from the 21st, I believe it is, October 2021. Circle to Pray is the name of that one. Do check it out. If you like that conversation, there are plenty more just like it over at scarsandguitars.com. If you could like, subscribe, share, and all of that bullshit, I'd appreciate it as well. Leave a comment. Leave a nice comment too. Tell everybody how much you enjoyed the chat. It always helps. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. Until next time, it is goodbye for now.